Well, hello, everybody. Hello from Boston, Massachusetts, and welcome to a live stream with me here on YouTube. I hope that we'll have at least an hour together to study, and the topic is going to be writing skills. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm sure some people will come in or trickle in, but some of you have been here for several minutes, if not longer. I'm looking at myself on the iPad too. I want to make sure that you can see well and hear well. If I scroll all the way back, some of the first people here were Karakuram Times, you're here, and Umair, Ali Muhammad, Mayer Gura. You guys were among the first early birds. Hello, hello. And let's see, is it Royer Rigoberto? Hello, Emra and Narinder, Liliana, Ivan, Aram. Thank you guys for being here. Paulo. I see so many names going by. Facundo, hello. Good to see some familiar names here too, and welcome anyone who is new to my channel. Welcome, welcome. I also, please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing any names. They're such beautiful names. I don't think I can do them justice with my pronunciation. If I were able to turn on microphones, you could teach me how to say them all properly. Is it Tisba? Hello. Larissa, I see you here. Badir, Isa. Hey Ray, I see you there as well. What a lovely, look at that. Username is very original. Is it to be honest? That's a very original username, to be honest. So many names. Kenan, welcome. Ram, we. Oh, my punctuation, my passionate punctuation corrector. Ajith Kumar, Amanda, Nasser, Erica, Arturo, Roxana, Kenan, Gutridi from the Dominican Republic. Thank you for being here. Liliana, you should be able to see me because I see myself on my iPad, and yes, I also see myself on the phone. So it should start. If there's any issue, I'll keep looking in the chat, but Liliana, you're the first to say that you're not able to see me. So please give me a thumbs up or say, yes, I can see you, yes, I can hear you. So far, Liliana is the only one telling me that she cannot see me. Right? Muhammad, welcome. Pranav, Arturo, Sharon. Sonis Peter. Oh, we have someone Greek living in London. You very international. I've never been to Greece. I was in London many, many years ago. I'm sure much has changed since then. Mohammed as well. People joining from Brazil. Hello. And Giuselino. This is going to be a writing live stream. Yes. Okay, thank you for confirming, Liliana. Great. People are confirming. Thank you. You can see me and hear me loud and clear. Thank you, Gertrudis. Let me take a sip of my tea. Okay. I'll try to remember to mute so you don't hear me drinking my tea. All right, let me double check. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you very much. All right, guys, we have an ambitious agenda because I want to take you from sentences to paragraphs to essays. We're not going to go too much in depth. Some of you may be familiar with what I'm going to say, but review never hurts. I have some exercises for you to try, and hopefully you'll walk away with a greater understanding of what goes into good writing, right? We all want to write effectively and clearly, whether it's email or academic writing. Some of you are working professionals, you write reports. Some of you do marketing materials. In any case, writing skills, it's such a big, important part of communication. So my goal is just to boost those skills just a bit today for you, okay? All right, let me work my magic and share my screen. Oops, there we go. Let's see. I'm going to wait just a moment to see if you see what I see. I'm going to take another sip here. Okay. Farouk, I see you. Hello. Badir, Marin. From Bangladesh, good to have you here. And Fuzia, hello and welcome. Rosangela, hi there. From Brazil, hello to you. Okay, let me zoom a little bit more. Perhaps that will make it easier. Some of you might be watching on phones. I know it could be hard to read the text. Some of the exercises that I'm sharing with you are exercises taken from larger groups of activities that I publish on my ELT blog. ELT is English Language Teaching. I do blog on WordPress for teachers. I share tips, I share ideas, strategies. I also share a lot of PDF handouts. So if you are a classroom teacher or tutor, you can use some of my materials. They're all free. So I will share these links in the video description later. So hey Daniela, see you there. Speaking of teachers, welcome fellow teachers, Liliana, Daniela, Ray. Good to have you here. All right. So let's start off with the basics. What is a sentence? You may think you know what a sentence is, but let's be sure, because I'll tell you, native and non-native speakers alike make mistakes when they're writing. They just join long ideas together thinking it's all related, so just write it all flowing as one huge sentence. But you do have to have a concept of what makes a complete idea and where we can end a sentence with a period, or what some call a full stop. I like the name full stop. We don't use that in American English too much, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay? A sentence has a subject. A sentence has a verb. A sentence is a complete idea. So always remember, there are maybe a few exceptions, but generally a sentence is subject plus verb. Okay? So in task A, what I'm asking you to do is to identify subjects. Let's identify subjects. I'll do the first one with you. I'll pause and I'll see if you guys can help me identify the remaining subjects. Subjects are who or what we're talking about. Who does the action? What happens? 1. High-speed trains seem like an efficient option for mass transportation. Lots of words there. Remember, subject comes before verb in a statement. So let's look for the subject. I see my verb. So before that, there we go. We're going to highlight that in blue. I'm talking about high-speed trains. That's my subject. The subject specifically, of course, there's a noun, trains. But what kinds of trains? High-speed trains. Subjects might be modified. They might have adjectives in front of them. We're talking about high-speed trains. Okay? Hi, Christina. And is it Elma Sudi? Good to have you here. Waiter. Oh, is it Java? I wish I could say your name correctly. I'm going to guess. Is it Javyandis or Yavyandis? I apologize for not saying it correctly, but you are correct in identifying the subject, and so is Amanda. Amanda's going ahead to name other subjects. So high-speed trains. Okay, looking at number 2. Be careful. Subjects are different from objects. Objects can receive action. Objects can follow prepositions. Subjects are who or what we're talking about. Lela, Royer, Patricia, hello. Okay. Often a subject is a noun, but there are other things that behave like nouns. I do have some lessons on gerunds. Gerunds are words that end with ing, and these words behave like nouns. So in number 2, hey Prince from China. Don't be misled, that's a prepositional phrase. This is the object of the preposition. The subject is waking up early. It's a gerund phrase. So here is my gerund. It behaves like a noun. And just like we could have a noun or a noun phrase, a group of words, we can have a gerund or a gerund phrase, a group of words based around that gerund. And you can always double check by putting in the word who or what. What seems like an efficient option? What isn't easy? That's my subject. Good. And not just waking up early. That's the whole gerund phrase. So we have a gerund, and then we build on it, waking up early. A bit more specific, and that is our subject. Okay. I see someone waiting to check an answer, but I'm confirming answers as we go along. I don't know if you posted a question and I missed it. I apologize. You can repost it. Okay. Aha. Who is that? Saritha jumping ahead. I see you posting sports. Yes, Marin, you got it correct. Saritha's moving ahead to sports, and I agree. Sports aren't everyone's favorite pastime. What isn't everyone's pastime? Sports. That's what we're talking about. Subjects can be a single word, or they can be a phrase, a group of words, like high-speed trains, waking up early. And number 4, let's see who gets this one. Yvonne, you got it right. Prince, we're going from sentences to essays. You'll have trouble building essays if you cannot build sentences. It's like building anything. You have to build with good material, right? If you're building a house, you need good bricks and good pieces of wood. If things have holes, if things are falling apart, your whole house is going to fall apart. So before we get to the essays, let's make sure that we can build correct sentences. That's what we're doing. Okay. Good. I see some people jumping ahead. Zineb, number 4. You wrote what you eat. Correct. Correct. Anybody who agrees? That's a good company to be in. Ray, Prita. Okay. Because, again, do that test. Put in who or what. What affects your well-being? What are you talking about? What you eat affects your well-being. Here, we don't have a noun. We don't have a noun phrase. We have a noun clause, an embedded question. I have a lesson on that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, write down on a piece of paper now, embedded questions. I do have lessons on that, and you can review that topic. A noun clause can be a subject of a sentence. I'm not asking a question. I'm using this idea based on a question to be my subject. This affects your well-being. What you eat affects your well-being. Well, we all have a place to live, right? So an apartment, or, goodness, even if you're living in a quiet little cabin somewhere, the cabin will provide shelter if it doesn't fall down. So anything that you build for shelter has to have a solid foundation. This is what sentence building is. You can't move to long email messages or essays or financial reports if your sentences have poor structure. Then the whole report, the whole essay will be difficult to read. Number 5. Ray is suggesting I. Let's see who agrees with you. Foza, yes. Mandini. Gertrudis, yes, I agree with you. So we know that subjects can also be pronouns, right? It could be a whole big clause or just a little pronoun, a subject pronoun. I am not a fan of horror movies. Actually, I am, but that's just an example. I don't like lots of blood and gore, but I do like what my kids call a jump scare, something that makes me go, oh! I do like movies with suspense, movies that take me by surprise. Number 6, let's see who's posting answers. Some people jumped ahead. Let's see. Oh, Zineb, let's see. You said to go to college. Or not. Exactly. It's a long one. We just went from a short little pronoun, Lela, yes, I agree. Look at that. All of that is my subject. To go to college or not. Big one, big subject. To go is an infinitive. Subjects can be compound subjects. We can join ideas with a conjunction like or, and then we just get a bigger subject. And in this case, what are we joining? We're joining infinitives, to go or not to go. I'm just using a short version. To go to college or not is a major life decision. Infinitives and gerunds can be subjects of sentences. So we had a noun phrase, a gerund phrase, a plural noun, a noun clause, a subject pronoun, infinitives, actually two or one, but an infinitive phrase you could say. And number 7, yes, to be honest. I love your username. Going to college or not? Yes, gerunds or infinitives could be a subject. I think it's more a stylistic thing. I think in number 6, when you're posing a question, infinitives work very well, right? I could say in number 2, to wake up early isn't easy, but somehow gerunds are generally preferred as subjects there. But to pose a question or alternatives, infinitives work very well for that purpose. I agree. Paul Bunyan, Deepika, yes. I agree. A proper noun. Proper nouns are names of people, places, and we capitalize them. So remember, subject plus verb, that's your basic sentence structure. But the subjects can be short or long, and there are different types of subjects. Okay? All right, so if you know what a subject is, let's make sure you know what a verb is. That's next. Again, same thing. I'll help you with number 1, and then you start calling out the answers. Walking is a popular form of exercise. We're talking about walking. The verb, right there. So what are the verbs in 2 through 7? Again, just like subjects can be short or long, verbs can be short or long. There might be only one part, there might be multiple parts. Walking is a popular form. That's the exercise I generally do. I'm not good at running or jogging. I try to walk at least once a day with my dog. So my dog is a nice excuse to take walks. Even when I don't want to, then my dog reminds me to take a walk. Okay, look at you guys jumping ahead. Number 1 looks great. All right, I see some people jumping ahead to number 2. Okay, I see. I'm scrolling back just for a second because it looks like I missed a question, but I don't. A green team are cleaning up. Is there a green team? If you're asking about team, I think you're asking about collective nouns. It depends who you talk to. I'm an American, so for an American, we treat a lot of collective nouns as singular. So to an American, my team is very supportive. My team is helping, just like my family is wonderful. My family is small. My family is big. So your question I see there is about a collective noun. I do have a lesson on that topic. Okay, I'm sorry I can't read your username. I would address you by your name, but I can't read that because it's not in English. Man of personality, what a wonderful, there's a very memorable username. Has been living, says Larissa, with your cupcake sticker. Okay, yes, I agree. Here we go. This is our present perfect progressive. Present perfect progressive. Has been living. Didn't catch Paulo is correct. We have a negative verb, simple past, correct. Again, yep, you guys got it. Another here, not just is, remember, it might have 2 parts, is happening. Present progressive. Okay, who's jumping ahead to number 5? I'm looking to see. Yes, Fuza got it. Prince, make sure you see the whole verb, has been living, right? That's the present perfect progressive. I'm waiting to see who's posting number 5 yet. Are you guys there yet? There we go. Man of personality and... True. To make it negative, of course, we need the help of not, but let's just, for now, we'll identify that as part of the verb. It's a negative verb. Not makes it negative. Must take, says Paulo. But Zinab is adding on to it. Must take action and resolve. Agree. Not just must take, but we have again, a compound. Just like subjects can be joined with and or, we can do a combination or even a list of verbs. So I like to cook, eat, and share meals, for example. So we have must take action and resolve, actually. So there's action, must take, and must resolve. That's basically what we're doing. Those are the two verbs, and we're joining them with a conjunction, and. Committee, who else is it? Very good. Is it Javriandis? And Prida was not able to come. We could put all of that correct because we have the negative, then we have able. Able to do what? Able to come. Was not able to come. And 7, won't ever give up, a phrasal verb, right? So we can't separate give up. We have to keep that together. It's negative. Of course, we have an adverb in there, but let's just keep it as part of our verb, a phrase here. Won't ever give up her trips. Okay? So these are fairly simple sentences. They're short, they're fairly clear, but this is an important skill to have because when you're writing your sentences, especially some of you who are writing long, complex sentences, you still have to be able to identify your subject and your verb, right? Because that's the basis of writing a complete sentence, okay? Why is watching not the verb? Watching or walking. Up here, if you're saying waking, these are gerunds. Remember, gerunds have ing, but they behave like nouns. They have a subject or object position. They're not a verb. So here, even though this is an ing, that is not called a gerund. It's part of the present perfect progressive. That is a present participle. Okay? All right, super job. We got our subjects, we got our verbs. Next task, can you identify a complete sentence? You were able to find the subjects and verbs for me, so take a look and look for a complete sentence. A lot of these are not complete ideas. I'll do number 1 with you. An amazing skill to have. Okay, there's an idea, but is it complete? I see a noun. And to have is a verb, but to have actually goes with skill. That's what we call a complement. And if you want to find more about complements, I do have some extra lessons on Patreon about object complements and adjective complements. I would say this is not a complete sentence because we're missing a predicate, we're missing a verb. We should say, or even maybe this is the second part. We don't even have a subject, like speaking English is an amazing skill to have. Knowing 2 or 3 languages is an amazing skill to have. It is not a complete idea. So here I'm just going to say, no, that's not it. Good, Yvonne. Yes. Okay, man of personality. My views. Number 3. Knowledge of foreign language, open, correct. I agree with you. I hope others agree with you as, whoops, what did I do? Didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'll let everyone take a look. Some people are posting. I'll give one more moment. Okay. Betty, thank you for posting. You're saying 3, 5, and 7. Who agrees with Betty? 3, 5, 7. Number 2 is not. What would make it complete if I say something like, you are always thinking of others and acting selflessly. I would need a subject and a helping verb to turn this into the present progressive. You are always thinking of others and acting selflessly. Thank you. What a wonderful person, right? But there isn't that information. We don't have a subject and a complete verb. But number 3, yes, is complete. Josangela and Ray, everyone's pointing to 5, agreeing with Betty. Fuza 2, and Saif also agrees. Frontline workers, courageous and dedicated. This looks like a caption to a photo, which doesn't have to be a complete sentence, or maybe it's like some sort of title of a pamphlet, I don't know, marketing material. In a lot of advertisements and marketing material, you don't have to write in complete sentences necessarily. But for our purposes, that does not fit. No. But yes, I agree. This subject will be verb, an unforgettable experience. Everyone agrees that 6 doesn't fit the bill, a good expression. If it doesn't fit the bill, it doesn't meet the criteria. An earlier attempt, so we would have to add something to the beginning here. That, or an earlier attempt, that was an earlier attempt, but not a very good one. Or the team made an earlier attempt, maybe to score a goal, but it was not a very good one, something like that. And everyone pretty much agrees about 7. Any other person is our subject, would be grateful. That's just subject, verb, complement. A very simple structure. There we go. You have to have the skill, so if you're writing sentences in an email or a paragraph for academic or business reasons, your sentences need to be complete. The only time you're really forgiven is in texting, when you can be very short and very brief, and very informal emails, right? When you also can get away with writing incomplete sentences. But if you're writing more formally, you need complete sentences. Okay, you said you don't see well. I will go a teeny bit bigger. How's that? All right. Again, super job. We identified subjects. We identified verbs. You helped me find complete sentences. A complete sentence is a clause. Clauses are if they're independent, they can stand alone. This is something to understand. Even if you forget the terms, I don't care. What I do want you to remember is, what is a complete idea that can stand alone? And you just end with a period. A sentence is an independent clause. It has a subject and a verb. It can stand alone. Look at my typo. We're always editing ourselves, aren't we? We should learn to proofread. Dependent clauses have subordinating conjunctions, words like because, if, when, things like that, and they cannot stand alone. So if you say, because I'm happy, you have a subject and a verb, but this is an incomplete idea. It's a dependent clause that needs to join with something else. Again, you can write, oh, because I'm happy. That might be an answer to a question in texting or email, something like that, or even in a conversation, but it is not a complete sentence for more formal writing. Okay? All right, good job. I see the answers still coming in. I think there's a bit of delay, but Josangela, you did well. Yvonne, you identified it correctly. Ray, you too. Okay? All right, so here are some examples. An independent clause is, I go to sleep early. That's just your simple sentence. If I feel especially tired, this is an example of a conjunction. This is not a complete sentence. It would be incorrect to write it like this and say, there you go, a sentence. No, it's not. It needs to be joined with something else, either after it or perhaps before it. It's part of something bigger. Okay? So independent and dependent. They both have subjects and verbs, but only the independent clause can stand by itself. Okay? Yes, thank you. Good note-taking there. All right. Independent clauses can be joined together with conjunctions or semicolons. I do have punctuation lessons. Look for my writing skills playlist, and I'll go over the punctuation, commas, dashes, colons, semicolons. If that seems something like you need to review, then I'll be happy to do that with you through my other lessons. You should sleep for at least 8 hours, and then you'll feel fully rested. Here's an example of a compound sentence, because what I have are two independent clauses. You should sleep. You'll feel fully rested. Both have subjects and verbs. Both are complete ideas. And I feel that they're related, so I'm going to join them together with a comma and a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction like and. Okay? Ray's asking, yes, in fiction, for example, in dialogue, you might have, again, incomplete statements spoken by characters, right? That's possible. Especially is like in particular. Specially is different, specially for you, maybe. Specially designed in a special way. I don't understand what is the homework now. There is no homework. I'm just trying to explain the difference between an independent clause and a dependent clause, okay? What I want you to understand is that sentences might have more than one clause. Perhaps we're joining independent clauses together. Perhaps we're joining a dependent and an independent and a dependent clause. Let's do a couple together and then I'll let you try. This is important because you need to know how clauses combine. And just because they might combine, it doesn't mean you want to join as many as possible. If you start having a sentence with like 5 clauses, it's probably too long and you need to break it up. And you'll break it up in a way that is logical. You'll keep whole clauses together. Okay? Yes, Amanda, you can delete a semicolon and just start a new sentence. We use a semicolon to join 2 independent clauses that are related. If the relationship is very clear, you can use that semicolon. But you also have the option just to end the first sentence with a period and start a new one. So let's look at number 1. When you invest a lot of effort, you hope to see results. So here we go. Subject, verb, subject, verb. So what I see, 2 clauses. This one is independent because this could be a sentence all by itself. You hope to see results. Because this one has a time word, this is a subordinated conjunction, an adverb of time, this cannot stand by itself. I cannot say, when you invest a lot of effort, period, full stop. It has to combine with another clause in order to be a full sentence. But I want you to see what we basically have here are 2 clauses. And the reason why I'm allowed to join them is I have a comma and a conjunction. Okay? What is the difference between a semicolon and a comma? Commas are helpful to separate items in a list or separate clauses that have the help of a conjunction. A semicolon can be used to join without a conjunction, and you're only joining independent clauses. It would be incorrect to put a semicolon here because this is independent, this is dependent. So I'm going to put a comma after my dependent clause. Your task here is simply to identify the number of clauses in each sentence. How many complete ideas do you see? I see 2 in number 1. Let me try one more with you and then I'll give you a moment. I see some of you are already putting your answers in the comments. And yes, Ray, you can flip these around oftentimes. You can put the time clause first or second. Number 2, people are social creatures, so we seek interaction, and that makes us happy. Clauses have subjects and verbs. People are, there's 1. We seek, number 2. That keeps, 3. I have 3 clauses. Why am I allowed to join them all together? Because I have a comma conjunction. Comma conjunction. Do not make the mistake that I see people make by just using commas to join ideas together. That does not work. Either use periods or use comma conjunction, like comma so, comma and, comma but. You join independent clauses together with a comma and a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction. Okay. Let's see. Why before and? This is the pattern. The commas go before the conjunction. The commas do not go after. Okay, they go before. Yes, tea is my favorite drink. We are very particular, but I'm going to keep the title of the task in blue and our items in black. Okay? All right, number 4. Let's jump back to number 3. Gertrude, number 3, correct. Number 4 has 2 clauses. Let's see if I agree. Wait, let's go to number 3. Who's posting about number 3? 2 clauses. Thank Fuzia. 2 clauses. Much to everyone's surprise, Keith turned down the job. Well, let's see. Keith turned down. There's one idea. Much to everyone's surprise. I see everyone, which is possessive. I see surprise. That's a noun, but I don't see a verb. Do you? Right? Yes, Amanda, to your question. Larissa, I agree with you. There's only one here. This is just a phrase, right? Much to everyone's surprise. It's just a phrase. Subject and verb. Keith turned down the job. Number 4, Ratna says 1. Well, let's say, as much as I had dreamed of such a chance, I had to say no. Well, let's look. I had dreamed. I had to say no. I had to say. Subject, verb, subject, verb. How many clauses? 2. Betty. There's 2 parts, but this is only, that's the clause with a subject and a verb. This is just a phrase. There's no verb there. Okay, number 5, Amanda is saying number 2. Wherever you go, I'll be with you in spirit. Oh, good, Ratna. Okay. Amanda, correct. You go, 1 clause. I'll be, 2 clauses. Okay. So how are we joining these together? If they're independent clauses, we can join with a coordinating conjunction. So, but, or, and. If they're dependent clauses, we use subordinating conjunctions like when, as much as. Okay. Here, this is another embedded question, wherever you go. Right? Or is it an adverb? Adverb clause, wherever you go, wherever you go, adverb clause. In any case, it's dependent. Okay, number 6, who's joined? 6, Ray says there is 3. Ray says there's 3. They sent all 3 kids to college, although it wasn't easy, but they truly wanted to invest in their children's future. See, now we're getting quite long. Look for subjects. They sent. Okay, there's our first clause. Although it wasn't. There's our second clause. They wanted to invest. Okay, subject plus verb. So I agree with Ray. Hopefully others do as well. Pooja, I have a 3-part lesson on the parts of speech. Okay, each lesson is about a half hour long, so I do go over nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, all the parts of speech and how they break down. Okay, and I do have lessons on noun clauses, adjective clauses. Start in Academy, good to have you here. Okay. Last one. Successful teamwork requires communication, respect, accountability, and of course, shared goals. Okay. A long sentence, almost as long as number 6, which had 3 clauses. But let's start looking for subject and verb. Successful teamwork requires subject verb. Communication, respect, accountability, and of course shared goals. Very long, but there is only one clause. All of this is the object of the verb. Requires what? Requires communication, requires respect, requires accountability, requires shared goals. There is only one clause. Okay, subject and verb. Exactly, yes. Man of personality, I agree with you. And Fresk said the same. Betty, yes. Gertrudis, yes. Ray, yes. Okay. Again, it's not the most exciting type of activity to do, but you have to understand how ideas go together. You have to be able to look at your own writing and identify if you put ideas together correctly, and if those ideas are complete ideas with subjects and verbs, and if you're punctuating them correctly, like using a comma before coordinating conjunction, or if you have a comma to separate the dependent clause from the main clause, which is an independent clause. And I'll tell you something, those of you who are here saying, I don't like writing skills very much, I'd rather do pronunciation, Jennifer, or something like that. Well, if you have a grasp on sentence structure, it will help you with your pronunciation. For example, if you go to my oral reading fluency series, we read texts aloud. And punctuation is your friend when you're practicing intonation, for example, because all of this that we just did actually helps you group ideas together. And that's how I establish my phrasing and my rhythm. So just very quickly, so I want some of you to understand the importance, if you're not convinced yet, of writing skills and the connection it has to pronunciation. Grammar, pronunciation, writing, they all go together. Don't dismiss one skill just because you think, well, I'd rather focus on speaking and pronunciation. Let me show you how I'm going to use slashes to show where I'm going to pause. Right? When you invest a lot of effort, you hope to see results. I'm stressing effort and results. The final word in those thought groups, the final word in those clauses. When you invest a lot of effort, you hope to see results. People are social creatures, so we seek interaction, and that keeps us happy. Actually, put after the period. Do you get it? Clauses, if you can identify a clause, you're probably identifying a thought group. Short clauses are groups of words we say together, and it's usually that final content word with a lot of meaning that we stress, like creatures, interaction, happy. People are social creatures. We seek interaction, and that keeps us happy. Okay, yes, chunking. It is very useful, I agree, Daniela. Much to everyone's surprise, Keith turned down the job. Now here we only have one clause, but it is before the clause we have this long phrase which we often separate. But I'm going to keep this short clause all together, and I'm not going to break it up. That would be unnatural. Okay, so short clauses keep together. Flow, link the words, connect. It will sound better. As much as I had dreamed of such a chance, and I could stop here before a prepositional phrase, as much as I had dreamed of such a chance, I had to say no. But you see, I paused a bit more right here before the main clause. As much as I had dreamed of such a chance, I had to say no. Okay? Do you get it? I'll keep going. Wherever you go, I'll be with you in spirit. Go in spirit, and I'm not pausing, but I'm grouping my ideas into clauses. Wherever you go, or it could be wherever you go if I want to emphasize you, not anyone else, but you. Wherever you go, I'll be with you in spirit. But in a neutral way, I'd put emphasis on go. Wherever you go, I'll be with you in spirit. They sent all three kids to college, although it wasn't easy, but they truly wanted to invest in their children's future. Long prepositional phrases are usually off on their own into a thought group all by themselves. But again, you see one, two, and this is my third clause. I'm breaking it up because this is a long prepositional phrase. Listen to how I read the sentence, and the reason why it flows smoothly is because the grammar and the writing is forming and shaping and guiding my rhythm, my pronunciation. They sent all three kids to college, although it wasn't easy, but they truly wanted to invest in their children's future. Okay? And 7, successful teamwork requires communication, respect, accountability, and of course, shared goals. When you have a list, of course, then you break up all the items. It's like a shopping list and you read each one. A long subject is often broken up by itself too. We set it apart. Successful teamwork requires communication. This is why it's important to be able to identify the subject and the verb or the verb phrase. It's very logical. I would not break after successful. Successful teamwork. It doesn't sound natural. Successful teamwork requires communication, respect, accountability, and of course, shared goals. Okay? How many clauses are in a sentence? Okay, so if you want at some point, like you could do this too, take a sentence that you find in an article and look, how many clauses do you see? And if there's a study partner that you have, ask them, see if they agree with you. Whew, I did plan an ambitious agenda for us today, but we're more than halfway there. We've identified subjects and verbs, complete sentences, and clauses. All of this is building towards a paragraph, right? Now we're putting sentences together. What is a paragraph? A paragraph, as you can see, is a group of sentences. Now, it depends where you see people write. Online in articles, you'll often see this format with the left side all even. We call that left justified. But I was taught always to indent. So that's often what I do. I don't do that in email, but in academic writing, I would indent. Okay, and you can use the tab button. If you don't have a tab button, when I was taking typing classes, yes, I typed on a typewriter way back when in high school, and we had to hit the space bar. Either we used the tab or you had to hit the space bar 5 times. I remember that. Okay, Abdul Kahir, I'm glad you're here. Daniela, I'm so glad. I love when other teachers approve of my approaches. It means a lot to have their support. Thank you. Yes, and I do have some other teachers watching, so they can help out. If you guys have questions about clauses and I'm missing some of your examples, post them. And if I miss them, some of the other teachers might be able to chime in. There's a good expression, to chime in, to contribute. All right, here we go. Let me read, and I'm going to ask you, what am I writing about? What is the topic? Okay. Birth order sheds light on our personalities. Studies have shown that the oldest child tends to have the strongest sense of responsibility. This is the child that the parents tend to depend on the most. In contrast, the youngest child often has a carefree nature and may be used to receiving positive attention and help. In the middle, we often see children who learn to keep the peace, make compromises. I would say to keep peace and make compromises. The middle child learns to be creative. What about a child with no siblings? An only child learns to be self-reliant and often matures quickly. In the end, birth order is only one factor in how a personality develops, but it is a truly fascinating component to study. Okay? There might be some new vocabulary here. Sheds light. Birth order is the order in which you and your brothers and sisters were born. Firstborn is the eldest. There are middle children, then there's the youngest. There's the oldest, the youngest, and there's middle children. This is about, in this paragraph, I'm only identifying three: the oldest, the middle, the youngest, and then of course there's a child with no siblings, an only child. Okay, if you tend to do something, that's your habit, that's habitual. So I use, actually, if I was going to edit this again, I would probably reduce my repetition. I'm using 10 two times very closely, but for now I'll leave it. Paragraph writing is a skill. Even I have to edit myself multiple times. Okay. Keep the peace, meaning, making, apologize. There goes my dog. She sees a delivery truck. I apologize. She gets so excited. Okay. Siblings, another word for brother and sister. Self-reliant. If you are self-reliant, do you see the verb that might be familiar to you? Rely. If you rely on someone, you're dependent on them. So self-reliant, you depend on yourself, right? As an only child is self-reliant, they take care of themselves. And it's a truly fascinating component. It's a component, a part of personality. Okay? You're welcome, Betty. How many clauses can we write in a single sentence? A simple sentence has one clause. A compound sentence has two, joined by a conjunction. A complex sentence uses a coordinating conjunction. Very often we have one or two clauses. It's also possible to have three, even four. You want to be careful of having too many clauses together. The sentence becomes long and sometimes difficult for your reader to follow. So it might be better to start breaking up those long sentences. So this paragraph, hopefully you can identify the topic, birth order. If you're writing a paragraph, especially for academic reasons, or just in general, if you're sharing a thought, an idea, your first sentence is your topic sentence. It is your opportunity to clearly and quickly communicate what this is going to be about. So it's not just a topic, but then what is your focus point? How are you specifically going to focus on this? There goes the dog again. Waiting for my dog to de-escalate, be less excited about the delivery truck on our street. Birth order sheds light on our personalities. So I'm going to talk about birth order and how it explains parts of our personality. Every sentence in this paragraph must support the topic sentence. If it doesn't belong here. That's another thing you have to watch out for. So in your mind, you have to logically sequence your points. I decided I'm going to talk about order. So I started with the oldest, then I went to the youngest, I talked about the middle, and then I talked about an only child. And so in my mind, that was logical. Older, young. Somebody might have gone from youngest to oldest to youngest, but it has to have some logic. I also, at the very end, added this conclusion. In the end, birth order is only one factor in how a personality develops, but it is truly a fascinating component to study. In your concluding sentence, you want to somehow restate the topic. What is this about again? And then leave your reader with some kind of final thought. Right? So you're sort of summarizing, rephrasing. It's sort of paraphrasing. Right? You're restating your topic and leaving them with some sort of concluding thought to give a sense of finality. Support, yes, means to give more details. Paragraphs, now an email, for example, can be as short as like 2 sentences. This is more of an example of academic writing, and you want at least 2 pieces of support, 2 points, usually 2 to 3, somewhere around there. And in my mind, I had to talk about every position, the oldest, the youngest, the middle child, and an only child. I had to address all 4 because that's what birth order is. So, paragraphs can be short, paragraphs can be long. You want to be careful of writing paragraphs with 20-some sentences. Most likely, you can break it up even more. Maybe there's actually subtopics and you can break it up, or maybe those paragraphs are about the same topic, but they each have their own focus. So just like I said, be careful with really long sentences. You might need to break it up so it's easier for your reader. The same is true for paragraphs. If you have a really long paragraph, maybe you need to break it up into two or even more. If they have the same topic, okay, but maybe they have different focus points, different viewpoints. Okay? Can I please speak? I will try. We have a wide range of levels here, usually from some high beginners or low intermediates to very, very advanced and proficient people. So I will try. Okay, so the point is, this is an example of a paragraph that I've written for you with a topic sentence, plenty of support, and then a final concluding sentence that restates the topic and leaves you with a final thought about birth order. Okay? If you wanted to go through each sentence and think how many clauses I'm using, that's an interesting exercise. The other thing I will point out, you want to try to have good variety. We talked about simple sentences and then compound and complex sentences. There are sentences with a single clause. There are sentences with two or more clauses. In a paragraph, it's good to have some variety. If I wrote only short, simple sentences, my writing would be very choppy. If I write in very long sentences all the time, it's a lot for your brain to take in. So you want to have variety in terms of sentence length. Okay? Wonderful. All right. So here's a task for you guys. And I know this is my downfall is I love to teach, so I can always go for like 2-3 hours. If I have enough tea, I could do it. This will not be 2 hours, I don't think so, but I think we are going to push into the next half hour. So if you have to go, it's okay. I would hope more people stay with me for this marathon of a live stream on writing skills. But in any case, let's keep moving on and talk about the paragraph and how it must all relate to a topic, and all supporting points must do their job. Support the viewpoint. I'm going to read this and I want you to tell me if all the sentences relate to the topic. Do they all belong here? Do I need to delete some? Large families bring much more joy than stress. More voices add to the daily conversation and frequent laughter. Many hands mean that chores can be easily shared. Also, while sibling rivalry is a very real problem in some families, brothers and sisters can become an important source of support both in childhood and adulthood. Of course, college tuition for so many is hard to afford. Overall, the advantages of a large family clearly outweigh the disadvantages. Thanks, Liliana. Okay, I told you the first sentence is the topic sentence. What are we talking about? Large families. And what's my focus, my viewpoint? I'm saying that large families bring much more joy than stress. So I'm viewing large families as something positive. It means as I go along in my paragraph, all of my points need to support the idea that large families are a good thing. Does every sentence belong? If you have questions about vocabulary, you can ask. I'll do my best to answer. We also have some teachers, other teachers among us who can help. Chores are little jobs around the house, like washing dishes, doing the laundry, sweeping the floor. Siblings, again, those are brothers and sisters. Rivalry. When brothers and sisters compete, that's sibling rivalry. Okay. College tuition, that's the money that you pay. If you can afford it, you can pay for it. Outweigh, meaning advantages are stronger, they're more important, they have more value, they carry more weight. Okay. Aha, Daniela's onto something. I think they all relate. The only sentence I have a doubt on is college tuition. So she's pausing on that sentence. Yes. I mean, it relates to the topic, right? But does it relate to my viewpoint? Does it help me? Does it help me make my argument here? Because I'm trying to explain that large families bring much more joy. Probably not. So we think, would the paragraph be stronger without it? Many hands mean more chores can be easily shared, sibling rivalry, very real problem, source of support. Overall, the advantages of a large family clearly outweigh the disadvantages. This is a very strong opinion. Someone could write a paragraph saying small families are better. But again, topic and the focus, the viewpoint. And I would just make that doubt turn into an argument, a piece of criticism, Daniela, and just go with your gut, go with your instinct. And yes, I'd say it's better without it. Okay? How can we make the first paragraph to grab the reader? Yes, that's getting into essay writing, and we did this. If my Patreon members, some of you are here, we saw this in your writings last month. There are different strategies that people used to grab attention. Some people asked questions, some people used quotes or proverbs, some people used an anecdote or an imaginary situation. So there are different strategies to catch the attention of your reader. We call that a hook, H-O-O-K, a hook. So I could, for example, say, is having a large family a good thing? Many would argue that a bigger family brings much joy and little stress. So here's a strategy. I just changed it. This is not really my topic sentence. This is just a hook. And you can do that. Sometimes your topic sentence then can actually follow a hook. Is having a large family a good thing? Many would argue that a bigger family brings much joy and little stress. And now I go on. So you see, that's one strategy that you could use. You could use a question and then answer it. That's one strategy. Okay? All right. How can the organization be improved? Here's another paragraph. I will read it. It's okay, but I think it could be better. Tell me how. Teamwork is the ideal way to handle a large, complex workload. There are simply not enough hours in a day for one person to do the work of 10. Each member of a team brings his or her own set of skills, which means collectively the team has more expertise. Interaction among team members affords learning opportunities, so over time each member becomes stronger thanks to the models and contributions of others. As I see a typo, as long as all members hold one another accountable, the short-term and long-term benefits of teamwork are undeniable. Okay, vocabulary. Okay, complex is difficult. Collectively means all together. Expertise is the expert skills that you have, your knowledge. Interaction, right? Being together, talking together, having contact with each other, that's your interaction. If it affords you opportunities, it gives you opportunities. What else? If you hold someone accountable, you make them responsible for something. Short-term and long-term, for a short time or for a long time. There are benefits that last for a little while and benefits that last for a long time. Undeniable, look for the verb here, deny. This is an adjective. If you watched my lesson on suffixes, you'll know. Okay, or a prefix, un. Undeniable, you can't say that it's wrong. You have to agree. So again, in these kinds of academic essays, you're making a point, an argument, and you want to sound confident. You're stating it, though it's an opinion, you're stating it like it's a fact, right? As long as members hold one another accountable, the short-term and long-term benefits of teamwork are undeniable. You can't argue otherwise. That's what that means. Okay, complex workload, lots of parts, right? It's not just a big job, but a big job with lots of tasks, and it's difficult to sort out, lots of connections between those parts, and you need lots of people because maybe one person doesn't have the knowledge or skill to deal with all of those parts. So it's something that's difficult, not only to understand, but then to do. Okay? Fariba, hello. Afford somebody something is to give that opportunity. So if being on a team affords you learning opportunities, it gives you learning opportunities. Okay? I'm glad, Liliana. So you pick up on the words and then you start using them too. Okay? Is that Jorge? Good to have you here. Okay. All right. The topic is teamwork. That's the topic. And my focus, my viewpoint, I'm saying that it's the ideal way to handle a large complex workload. Okay? So all of my points support this idea. I have a concluding sentence, right? That's fine. My question is, in terms of organization, what could we do? Oh, sheds. Yvonne, did I answer your question? That was back here. Sheds light. I forget where that was, but shed is to reveal. If it sheds light on something, it gives light, it makes things clear, Yvonne. Okay? Vitali, time is at a premium. That's a nice way to put it, yes. Good, Liliana. All right. How many of you know about sequence markers, right? If you're making points, it often helps to number your points, but we're not going to do things like this. Like that's not how we write a paragraph, right? We have to use words, not numbers. So what helps your reader understand your organization often is your choice of sequence markers. Words like first, second, third, finally. Those are very basic sequence markers. On Patreon, for the past couple of months, we've had writing opportunities, and we explored more conversational sequence markers like first of all and to begin with. So there are, you think the text overall doesn't match the title. Oh, well, this is not a title, right? The question is, how do these sentences, how are they organized, and could they be related? Okay. Last but not least, there you go. That works. So watch this. There are many possibilities. You could say, first, there are simply not enough hours in a day. You could also say, firstly, whoopsies. Firstly, I like first of all. You could do that. First of all. You could also do, what could you say? To begin with. Just something to say, here's my first point. Point number one. Okay? Teamwork is the ideal way to handle a large, complex workload. To begin with, there are simply not enough hours in a day for one person to do the work of 10. Point number one. You could do also, you could do second. If we do first, you could do second. You could do something like furthermore, to begin with. Conversationally, on top of that, there's lots of variations. Let's just do also, very simple. Also, each member of a team brings his or her own set of skills, which means collectively the team has more expertise. That's point number two. Okay? Furthermore, I like that too. First and foremost, good Amanda. In addition, Are you calling me a crazy woman? I'm crazy about language and teaching, I guess. If crazy means passionate, then yes, you can call me crazy. Vitali was also saying to begin with, on top of that, besides. Besides, more conversational, besides. Yes, you can write also, set of skills. In addition. If you guys like that better, I'll put that there. It's a little more formal. In addition. Okay. I like, who suggested that last but not least? You could do lastly. Right, that's fine. Whoopsies. Didn't mean to do that. What else could we do? Lastly. Finally. I like the last but not least. Let's do that last but not least. You could do that. Interaction among team members affords learning opportunities. So over time, each member becomes stronger thanks to the models and contributions of others. Moreover, that's a good one, Betty, Pooja. On the other hand, yes, that's if you're contrasting it, that one works very well if you do on the one hand, on the other hand. That's better for comparison. Okay, moreover works. To sum up, good. Yes, now we need to signal that this is the end. You could say to sum up, right? You could also say in the end, either one. So there we go. The paragraph was okay to begin with, but we made it stronger by adding some sequence markers to help our reader understand the organization. So not only do you want to write sentences correctly, you want to sequence them in a logical way. Then you can use sequence markers to signal each point and also signal the end, to sum up in the end, right? And as you see, I'm going through that. I've seen this paragraph many times, and I'm still catching little typos. It's very hard to proofread your own work. If you have another set of eyes, someone who can read your paragraph for you and help you catch mistakes, it's wonderful. Okay? Finally, in the end, eventually is more a time expression rather than a sequence marker. Okay, so just to sum up where we've come from, we talked about a paragraph being a group of words that relate to a topic and also supports your viewpoint. Sheds light, Yvonne, gives light. Birth order sheds light. It helps us understand our personalities, right? It makes it clearer to understand our personalities. All the sentences must support the topic sentence. A nice concluding sentence gives a sense of finality. Okay? You do not necessarily have to have sequence markers, especially if you're not making an argument. This one didn't have sequence markers, and I still think it's logically written and clearly written. If sentences do not belong, delete them. If you are making an argument, sequence markers can help you very much. Okay? Just a reminder, I'm not quite done yet because we have one more big step to take, but I do have membership on Patreon. People say, Jennifer, you have so much everywhere. I do, but it's to give you options because some people are making use of all my free materials, which is wonderful. I have over 600 videos here on YouTube, and I have now over 100 videos, I think, on Instagram. There are lots of free things on Instagram and YouTube. I do have some older exercises, probably about 100 or so on my website, also free. But if you want to go and take this further and get even more from me, there are YouTube memberships for just $1 a month, and those are written exercises that I share twice a week on the YouTube community tab. Unfortunately, it's not available in all countries, but if YouTube makes this program available to you, you will see the join button. You click and you will see the different perks that you can receive for $1 a month. Most people usually say, what I really want to do is speak to you. I have questions. I want to meet with you regularly. That's where Patreon comes in. Patreon is group instruction. So it starts with group lessons. And then there are higher levels. And the reason why I have higher levels is because there are those who say, okay, group learning is great, Jennifer, but I want even more. I want one-on-one time because I really have a lot to discuss with you. I want to practice with you. And that's what the one-on-one sessions are for, either 20 minutes or 60 minutes. So I'm giving a lot of options because there are a lot of different needs. And I do understand there are different budgets. If you are a Patreon member, and if you want to become a Patreon member, you just go to this link and sign up even at the $10 level just to join the group lessons this month for June. Patreon members, I'm going to post this later. You have an assignment this week. You can write one paragraph, 150 words or less, before June 10th, and I am looking to see if you have absorbed what I have shared today. Can you write a paragraph with a clear topic sentence, logical organization, making sure that all of your sentences relate to the topic and support your viewpoint, your purpose? If necessary, use sequence markers, transition words, connecting words as needed, right? Be sure to have a concluding sentence, okay? So that's for my Patreon members. The final big step to take is an essay. That's what we're going to do in the final 12 minutes. Can we do essays in 12 minutes? We're going to sure try. You're on a roller coaster ride with me of writing skills, okay? Who is right? Oh, I'm so happy you're saying you learning. Yes, Ray. If you have multiple paragraphs, you need transitions between paragraphs. In the end, at the end, what's the difference? In the end stands by itself. At the end of a movie, at the end of a book, you have to tell me at the end of what. That's a grammar thing, okay? Lillian, I'd be happy for you to upgrade. Yes, people upgrade, downgrade. That's the wonderful thing on Patreon. There are different levels to meet your needs. Maybe one month you say, I really want the one-on-one, and the next month you say, not this month. You can upgrade and downgrade. It's harder to upgrade because I have limited availability, but I do try to make myself as available as I can be. All right, here we go. I need a sip of tea to get through essays. Here we go. An essay is a set of paragraphs that discuss a subject. We went from sentences and put sentences together to form a paragraph. Now we have whole paragraphs all together in an essay. The purpose can be to inform, persuade, compare, or present a solution. There are other possibilities, but these are common ones. Common formats of an essay include a 3 and 5 paragraph essay. Those people who really want to work on essay writing usually take private lessons with me. Because this is really detailed one-on-one. So those of you who have done one-on-one work with me understand that that's the best context for me to do essay writing in. Okay? All right. So if you have 3 paragraphs, then you have your intro, body, conclusion. If you have 5 paragraphs, then your body is just going to be bigger. The intro is where you state your topic and your focus point, your focus or your purpose. Very often we call this is where your thesis statement is. Your thesis statement is in your intro. Each paragraph has a topic sentence, but your thesis statement is your overall view, your overall topic. And then it breaks down into subtopics. That's what the body does. You discuss the topic with supporting details and examples. Then you have your conclusion where you restate the topic, you restate the viewpoint, you use alternative wording and draw a conclusion, right? If you have your opening introduction with a nice thesis statement, you can't just copy and paste. You have to paraphrase. You have to restate your idea with other words and then add a concluding thought. So it's usually not just about summarizing and then leaving your reader with something to think about. Okay? Verbal phrase, yes. Private lessons are through my website. I am booked right now for June. Okay. How to organize your ideas. Should you write an outline? Many people would say yes. People who are writing essays are probably writing for academic purposes, but even like a report for work or something, when you're writing a large piece of text, it's good to have an outline as your roadmap to guide you. But especially if you're doing academic writing, and let's say you're doing a timed essay, taking the first few minutes to write your outline is going to keep you focused and keep track of your time. So if you only have, let's say, like 50 minutes to write a 3-paragraph essay, you know you have the first 5 minutes to brainstorm. And then you know from practicing, hopefully, that you can write your intro in about 5 minutes. Maybe you need your body for like 10, 15, then conclusion another 5. And then you need time to reread and proofread. So outlines help you, whether it's a timed essay or not. You need a roadmap. That's what the outline is. But when you write an essay, you need to keep in mind, why are you writing this? Are you describing something? Are you examining a problem? Do you want to present solutions to a problem? Are you trying to inform and educate your audience? Are you doing a comparison, a contrast? Because your purpose is going to influence your organization. If you're describing an event, you're probably going to use chronological order, right? If you're examining a problem, you might make, I don't know, you might list causes, maybe, in order of importance, for example, right? Homelessness, what are the causes? Or why is it a problem? What are the different problems? Maybe you're going to break it down into homelessness, lack of shelter, lack of food, lack of work, and something like that. Present solutions. Maybe again, order of importance, or it might be from least, I want to say feasible, meaning doable, realistic, to most feasible. Least expensive to most expensive. You need some sort of logic. You have all these ideas. How are you going to present these ideas in your essay? That's where the outline comes in. It's forcing you to commit to a logical sequence. If you're informing your audience, again, what are you informing them of? Maybe there are points and you're going to order them from least important to most, or from most to least. Comparison contrast might, if you really want to prove that two things are similar, like American English and British English, maybe I'm going to start with a few different contrasts, like yes, pronunciation is different, yes, spelling can be different, but we all understand each other. So there's more that is similar than different. Or I can prove the opposite. I'm going to start with some comparisons, saying English is English, and yet there are some big differences in vocabulary, pronunciation, sometimes in grammar. So it depends on your point of view. So keep in mind what your purpose is, and let that purpose guide your choices in terms of organizing your points, right? I see some of my essay writers here. Yes. Okay. Remember what I just said? This is your introduction. Some of you, I'm assuming, are familiar with essay structure, so you're like, yeah, Jennifer, I know this. Some of you are like, whoa, my gosh, you're giving so much information. This is meant to be an overview of what an essay is. We have sentences that come together to form paragraphs. We have paragraphs that come together to form essays. Your essay is going to have one thesis statement. That is your opening statement, your argument. It will break down into paragraphs, and each of your paragraphs will have a topic sentence. If you only have one paragraph in your body, you will only have one topic sentence. If you have 3 paragraphs in your body, each of those paragraphs will have a topic sentence. That's basically the difference between the 3 and 5 paragraph essay. It's the length of the body, how you break up your subpoints, okay? Oh, I'm sure, no, people, where are you? Daniela said, it would sure be challenging to spot a native speaker's errors. Oh, goodness. It's hard to catch our own mistakes. So if in terms of punctuation, viewers catch mine all the time, and they help me make my captions more accurate, because it's really hard to type captions, for example. And I do edit for native and non-native speakers, and believe me, native speakers, we have a lot of weaknesses too in our writing, sometimes different ones, but we make typos too, punctuation errors. Sometimes it's at the level of being, have a consistent tone, be more concise, but believe me, native speakers make plenty of mistakes too. We can all continue working to become better writers. Okay, whew, I don't know if we'll do this in 3 minutes or less, but there isn't a strict time ending, but I'm going to try to be brief as we go. All right. Robert, I see what you say. When an English language learner takes a reading test, the main idea is rather obscure. To test the reading level of the reader. When an English learner takes a reading test, the main idea is rather... Yeah, that has to do... Robert, I think your question relates to the quality of a test, right? When I did... sort of placement testing for a while when I worked at a traditional school, I did do placement interviews where I met with new students. I actually did this at 2 different schools, and sometimes I was only given 5 minutes, sometimes I was given 10 or 15 minutes to evaluate all the skills. I had to place the students in terms of speaking, grammar, writing, reading. I knew within the first few minutes of having a conversation with a person, of course, whether they're basically beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then I had texts ready to go at those different levels so I could further identify, are they high intermediate, low intermediate, etc. So testing people's readings, it can be accurate, but it starts with good reading materials. To have good test results, you need to start with a good test, right? All right. All right, so here is your final task, guys. I have the beginning of an outline and all the information is missing. So what I'm going to do now, I wonder how, I will not go to, I'll just show you that it's really not that long. It's a 3-paragraph essay, intro, body, conclusion. Okay, some would say, Jennifer, that's quite a long paragraph. It could be, but what I'm going to do now is read it, and as I read it, I want you to think and see if you can identify my thesis statement. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I have supporting points, 3 of them. Can you identify them? And finally, what kind of concluding thought do I leave you with? Okay? All right, here we go. I learned to appreciate hockey quite late in life. And now that I am an enthusiastic fan of the sport, I am grateful I made the effort to understand the game. Being a hockey fan has enriched my life in a number of ways. As someone who once thought the sport too violent and crude, I can now admit that it is a high-energy game full of skill, and by watching as a spectator, I have gained 3 valuable things. First, this sport is something that has brought my family together. We are fans of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I enjoy sharing the emotional experience we have through the wins and losses. Second, there is a bigger community of hockey fans, and being able to talk about hockey makes it easier to socialize with people of different ages. Even if we cheer for different teams, we can still discuss the latest hockey news. Most important, I have grown to respect the effort invested and skill attained by people close to me. I love watching my son play, and I am proud of my younger brother who has built a career around hockey, first as a professional player and now as a trainer. I would never have predicted 20 years ago that hockey would become my favorite sport to watch. Now that it has, I can only be grateful because it has allowed for greater connections to form with the people around me, and I truly admire the talent it takes to play a good game. Taking the time to learn something new, not just a sport, can erase previous misconceptions and bring unexpected rewards. Okay, I'll pause for a second. All right, guys, have you had time to digest this? Look at my introduction and tell me which part sounds like a thesis statement where I'm presenting my main topic and a viewpoint. Bye, Yvonne. You can come back and watch the last 5 minutes, okay? Thank you for being here, Yvonne. It's okay, Liliana. Yes, you'll see the recording. We only have about 5 minutes left, okay? Did anyone see it? Oh no, Vitaly, I didn't take offense. But time truly is at a premium. So for that reason, I will highlight the thesis statement here. My thesis is that being a hockey fan has enriched my life in a number of ways. So I'm talking about being a fan, and you already know that I'm going to discuss the ways that it's been positive. Boom. So you have an expectation of how I'm going to organize my ideas. So in the body, you're going to be looking, okay, which ways? Tell us, Jennifer. So you want to look for my supporting points. Do I have sequence markers? Yes. Yes, Betty. Okay. All of this is just sort of part of the introduction. I'm building up to how I became a fan. Okay. Here's my topic sentence. Again. Basically, I'm saying I have gained 3 valuable things. So here I'm more general. It's enriched my life. Now in my topic sentence, I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you 3 specific ways that it's valuable. So this is important right here. That's part of my organization. Look for those sequence markers first, second, most important. And not only do I have sequence markers, you can just tell by this final one, the logic that I used. I decided to go from least to most. It doesn't matter, you can go most to least, but I personally like saving the best for the last. That's my logic. Okay? Karakoram times, good to be here. Yes, Rolny, you're seeing the sequence markers. Okay? All right, so brought my family together. First point, it's, I don't like that text. Let's go down here. Oops, I'm going to use this one. Okay, it's brought my family together. That's my first point. Second point, bigger community, talk about hockey, easier to socialize. Let's take this word. Whoops. Bigger community, something to talk about, easier to socialize, something like that. And you'll see that when I write my outline, maybe I do have a full sentence, maybe I just have words and phrases. It's okay. Doesn't matter, it's just your outline. No one should see your outline, it's just for you. Then in my third point, I've grown to respect the effort invested, skill attained. Okay, so this is about respecting my son and brother more. Something like that. Okay, and my conclusion, here's my concluding paragraph, my final paragraph. This is all the summarizing. Well, this is a little bit extra information. Again, I'm talking about grateful. Maybe I might challenge myself. I said grateful. Maybe I shouldn't use grateful again. Maybe I'm going to change that to thankful, by the way, so I'm using different words. So this is just paraphrasing. This is my idea. My final thought is somewhat related. And it's not just about hockey. My concluding thought is really about saying the importance of learning something new. Right? Taking the time to learn something new can erase previous misconceptions and bring unexpected rewards. Okay? I know this is a lot to throw at you, but what I'm trying to demonstrate at this point is that your essay is trying to discuss and support an argument that is set out or set forth by your thesis statement. Your body has all the supporting points. You want to aim for about 3. These points must support your thesis statement. Your body must have a clear topic sentence. This is quite long, but this is the key part right here. That's the key part. and then my sequence markers make it very easy to identify my supporting points. I have a conclusion, and it's not just summarizing. Again, it's this final idea. What do you want to leave your reader with? This isn't just about hockey. I'm talking about anything. I judged the game harshly in the past, and I'm saying that now that I've taken the time to learn, I've gained more, and I'm changing my opinion. I appreciate it. I can erase previous misconceptions, and I've received unexpected rewards. That's my concluding thought. It's advice. So your final concluding sentence could be advice, it could be a warning, it could be a question to make people think, like, what sport have you grown to appreciate? So there's different ways to end, but just as I was talking about strategies to catch attention, like posing a question, starting with a quote or a proverb, there's also strategies you can use to end. Giving advice is one of them, and that's the strategy I chose to use. I'm leaving you with the idea that maybe you too have misconceptions about something, and maybe it's worth learning more about it so you can erase those misconceptions. Okay? So if I were writing this essay, and this is what I did do, before I wrote this, I did have this in mind. I did have an outline that I wrote for myself. And moving from the outline to the essay is much easier than just starting to write and your ideas are all over the place. So again, to summarize what we've done today, and I'm going to do my little magic here and go back to this screen. We've gone from sentences to paragraphs to essays. This is just an overview. If you want to work on your writing skills more, I have the writing skills playlist, which is free to everyone. And don't forget, if you see the join button on YouTube, click it and read about the perks you can get for only $1 a month, because I give writing tasks. They're usually writing and grammar. Sometimes I might throw vocabulary, even pronunciation related tasks, but you get 2 written tasks a week on the community tab. So, writing and seeing what other people write is also useful, and it's regular practice. You check the community tab twice a week or even once at the end of the week and catch up. But it's a way to keep up your studies on a weekly basis. If you really want more, then I encourage you to check out Patreon. Let me see if I can go back to that link so you can see it again. This is the way I've decided to try to help people who want to go beyond the videos, especially in terms of writing and interaction, not just with me, but with other people. So if you're interested in getting more, then please consider the Patreon memberships. The level that is open and has more availability is the $10 level. We do have group lessons scheduled. Now let me look at my calendar and remind myself. We're meeting on the 11th, 18th, and 25th. Okay, there will be live group lessons. We have members all over the place, so it's hard to find times. I have some people in California, they're 3 hours behind me, and we have people in Hong Kong. So I usually do a morning session, but sometimes when I'm available, I do morning and afternoon so that people can attend at least one live event a month, if not more. Some people are able to attend all of them. So, in any case, what I will do now is, tell you that I will be sharing all of my notes on Patreon. Okay, so if you'd like to have a little bit more, then we can meet on Patreon with the follow-up notes, and I will also be taking questions there. Don't forget, Patreon members, I did give you a task. I will post it again to remind you. 150-word paragraph that is due by June 10th, and I will be correcting them personally. Okay? All right, guys, thank you for joining me. This was a marathon session on writing skills. I thank you very much for being here, and I will be back next week, either with a video or live stream, but some kind of instruction to share with you. Thank you so much, okay? Thank you so much for being here, Daniela, Vitali, Betty. So many of you, Larissa, have been here the whole time. Thank you, thank you. Okay, glad, Roni, that you found me here. Okay, thank you so much for supporting me and my work. Okay, all right, guys, I need to go. Take care. Happy studies.